Hi everyone, Kaleem Joy, licensed midwife, certified pediatric massage therapist. I'm coming to you live, and I just was on Facebook, so I wanted to just be able to come here to Instagram. We're going to try and dual them, so it's at the same time. I wanted to welcome all of you in. Hi, thanks for joining me tonight. This is so super fun. I'm excited. I wanted to just tell you I've had a good time today. The topics we're going to talk about today are low risk versus high risk. I had someone ask me that when I'm talking about care and low risk, what does that really mean? So we're going to kind of go into those and look at what do they mean. But in the meantime, for another few seconds, I'm just waiting for everybody to sort of come in and join us. I had the opportunity to see some beautiful moms today and to palpate their sweet bellies and their babies, and I love being able to say, here, give me your hand. This is where the butt is. Now walk your hand down the back so you can feel the back of the baby. This is where the head is. This is why we know that babies butt up, because you can feel the little thigh bone and the foot. I really love being able to help these beautiful birth givers to know their babies and to map them out and to be really involved and empowered in their prenatal time, because I'm really passionate about that. I've had a real good time making these other videos for you, so I hope you'll tune into those 40 days of gifts for you. We're still doing them and hoping to release more of them for you. So the topic for tonight, low risk versus high risk. And I want you to think, because most of us have cars. Some of you may live in areas where you either ride a bike, or you have maybe a little moped, or maybe you use public transportation, but we all understand cars. And I like to imagine that if you get into a car and your car is running well and you expect it to run well, you have confidence in it and trust in it, and you get in the car and you start driving along. And as you are driving along, all of a sudden you feel this pull to one side, and it plunk, 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 plunks, and you pull to the side and you get out and you walk around your car, and all of a sudden you notice you've got a flat tire. So that flat tire, you get the spare on, you take the flat, you go and you get it fixed, the tire goes back on, and you're back in business again, okay? So you're driving along, and at some point in time you see that sort of little check engine light that comes on. Well, is it coming on because you need to get maintenance done on the car? Or is it coming on because you have something that the car needs to have fixed? And you go to find out, right? And that's just like going to your care provider, going, you know, something's a little off. I need you to check on things. And so they check on them, and they say, oh, you know, you take it to the mechanic with that little check engine light, and they say, oh, you just need your maintenance done. Great, let's get the maintenance done, which is like doing that nutrition, our exercise, our meditation, writing in our journals, stretching. We get that maintenance done to keep us going. And so we get back in the car and away we go. And at some point in time, you hear this sort of clink, 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 and you think, oh my goodness, what is going on with the car? And you think, I better call the mechanic or your care provider. So you call the mechanic and you say, I've got some clunking going on. They say, oh, come on over. And they look under the hood and they say, oh, you just had a part that got loose, and that's what you were hearing it rattle. They fix it, you're back on the road, and you're ready to go. So low risk is like that. These are the little things that can be fixed, that might be come up, that are not taking you so far out of normal, but can be understood. Now, sometimes you go and they have to do diagnostics. So that might be a lab or an ultrasound, and midwives or doctors, all of us can order those labs and those ultrasounds if we need to. So you have that clunk that goes on, and the mechanic says, you know, it's kind of something that's going to need this mechanic over here, because that type of work is not the kind of work that I do. which is the way midwives would be. That's not the kind of work that we do. So let's have you evaluated by one of the OBs and see if this can be corrected, brought back to normal, so that you can stay in low risk care. So when you look at midwifery care, or any type of care providers, we're all going to do the same things. We're all going to check your urine, your blood pressure, measure the baby, listen to heart tones, feel for how much water, feel for baby's position, check to make sure that you're not swelling and having high blood pressure, or you're having headaches, or whatever's going on. And all of that isn't any different. It's different in the philosophy that we use, but we're all going to be looking for healthy babies, healthy moms. And in labor, we're all going to be listening to heart tones and making sure that there's progress. So when you look at low risk, we're looking at those things that can be brought back into normal if there's a little variation, or if you need to be referred to a high risk practitioner, which would be the obstetricians. When you look at birth, we're looking at low risk, meaning that you are progressing. Now, progress is everything in birth, and good heart tones. Those two go together, babies come out. What we see sometimes is plateaus. We see some of these plateaus, and if it's just a plateau, fine. If a birth giver needs to be fed, she needs more fluids, maybe she needs a little rest. Maybe she needs to talk about some of the emotional things that are going on. Maybe she needs to get in the shower, whatever it is that she needs to do. Sometimes it's changing the baby's position, because sometimes babies can get in little bits of funny positions that can make the labor hit that plateau and not progress. So we're encouraging a woman to be able to keep that progress going. And part of it is that we trust that that progress is going to go, but when it shows us something else, we look for those tools to use. Now, during prenatal or during birth, we would use different positions. We would change, what a woman is doing. We would maybe give her homeopathy or some herbs, or we might, as I said, talk about emotional issues that are going on. What could be causing that? And always knowing that if progress isn't being made, well then, we're going to refer you out to the specialist mechanic and get you to a place where the technology can be used, because technology has a place in birth, and we're so happy it does. Each technology has a useful tool. What we want to see is that more birth givers and women are able to be empowered, trust who they are, trust the process, know the baby, and start out creating the type of birth that they want, so that interventions come into a birth if they're needed rather than all the time. Because in our nation, in the United States, 1 in 3 women have a cesarean. So why do they have a cesarean? Why so many? So we have to be able to ask and answer that question, and the majority of it is too many interventions. And if you want to see what the statistics are for licensed midwives for cesarean sections, they're much less. And you can go to Midwives Alliance of North America and be able to push the button on research and come up, and you can see the statistical reports. They did one in 2007, and they did one, I believe, about 2 or 3 years ago. And it has all those fancy statistics in there to show the safety of using midwives, and especially having babies at home. And I just want to remind you that my goal is to get as much insight out there about the wisdom of birth, and really honoring your ownership with it, and being able to be educated and evaluated appropriately, and use all the different tools that can be given to women to help you create the birth that you ultimately want. Because I know what it's like to be a home birth midwife. I know what it's like to be a home birth midwife. I know what our families go through. I know the joy, and I know the hard work of the power and the passion. And I know that sometimes the passageway and the passenger, which we'll talk about more in future lives, that things have to shift sometimes. And that's part of helping you to be able to remember that birth, it was designed to work even if no one was there. But what makes a high risk? because I was going to tell you that because I wanted you to understand that. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked. So what makes a high risk? It's someone who has a placenta that might be covering their cervix, because you can't have a placenta be born before a baby. Not only is that not safe for the baby, but it can cause bleeding for mom and baby, so it's not safe, and that needs high risk. It's a placenta that might come away from the wall before, which is an abruption. It would be if you have a seizure disorders, if you're a known diabetic on insulin, or if you're a gestationally diabetic on insulin, if you have kidney disease, liver disease, heart disease, if you have hyperthyroidism, if you have low thyroid that is not well managed, that would be a higher risk. If you had a preterm baby before 37 weeks, that might be the most appropriate place for you to birth your baby, because that's where the technology can be there to help support the baby. So I want to really encourage you that you can make a difference today about taking some of this information and evaluating where it fits in your story, or maybe some of the birth givers that you work with, and helping them to really take ownership for who they are, for the fact that our bodies were made to birth. And if you've had challenging births in the past, or you have people that you work with that have had challenging births and they're not sure how to trust that, then help them to find what that story is and what things might be able to be done differently to improve the outcome. So I'm having a great time sharing with all of you. I love when you ask me to speak about a particular thing, because I'm taking all of my midwifery years and I want to give them to you and encourage you to give them to others, so that more and more women throughout everywhere that I can will have midwifery care and have what midwives can offer to you. Thank you so much for coming and joining me tonight. Please share everything that you can. Please bring everybody so that we can give this to you. And remember that I'll continue to release the 40 days of gifts to you that are on the P's of pregnancy, birth, postpartum, the baby. I've got 40 different P's that are doing that, and I'm having a whole lot of fun recording those for you. So I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow in the evening, same time or thereabouts, barring that the babies don't ask me to come and join them while they're being born. But that's my goal, is to come and talk to you each night. And I've really enjoyed it. Have a great evening. Give all your kids a hug and tell them how much you love them. All right, bye for now.